무게 때문이라고 생각했다.
In Aristotle's physics, the behavior of objects is completely explained by the properties of the object. So Aristotle says you drop a stone into water and the stone sinks because the stone has the property of gravity. But there's this problem: if you put a piece of wood in the water, the wood floats. Why is that? Well, because the wood has the property of levity. And of course we understand that that's just completely wrong. I mean, objects don't have the property of gravity. Gravity is a relationship between one object and another.
어떤 사람이 친절하다면 영어로는 kind하다고 말한다. 서양인들은 그 사람이 kind한 이유가 그 사람이 갖고 있는 착한 속성, 즉 kindness 때문이라고 생각한다.
Western psychology is mistaken in that if they see a person behaving in a particular way, they see the person behaving in a way that seems to be kind, they say, oh, well, the person's very kind. Or if it seems to be rude, the person is very rude. They tend not to look at the context. And you can show that Westerners make big mistakes because they're assuming something that's wrong, that the person has a disposition or a personality trait that corresponds to the behavior that they've seen. So they generalize too much from it because they're just paying attention. They assume that the reason people behave the way they do is because they have certain properties that they carry around with them.
행복해 보이는 표정의 주인공이 있다. 주인공 주위에 서 있는 사람들도 역시 행복한 표정이다. 그러나 두 번째 그림의 주인공 주위에 서 있는 사람들은 불행한 표정이다. 과연 두 번째 그림 속의 주인공은 행복해 보인다고 할 수 있을까?
Is this person look happy?
Yeah.
What about him?
The same one? Yeah, I would say so. That he looks happy.
I believe happy.
Okay.
I'd like to believe happy.
What about him?
That one? Are they different?
I don't know.
I would say that one's happy as well.
He's happy, yes.
What about him?
He looks the same to me. He looks happy too.
Is he happy? He looks like it. What about him? He still looks kind of happy.
North Americans in general are likely to focus only on the center of the scene, which means the center person. Yes, this is a task. They can nicely focus on the center and then try to guess the patterns, the center figure's facial expression. And then even though the background has been changed, like an angry background, sad background, and happy background, they do not care so much about it. Okay, which means that they are nicely produced a consistent evaluation to us the same type of facial expressions.
여기 가운데 있는 사람은 행복합니까?
네.
그럼 이 그림에서 가운데 있는 사람은 행복한가요?
행복하지 않은 것 같은데요? 이유는 그냥 다들 주변 사람들이 불행하잖아요.
幸せです。
真ん中の人は幸せですか？
いや、そんなことないですね。
その理由はどうしてですか？
いや、周りの人の表情が怒ってる。
幸せです。
この人は幸せですか？
あんま幸せじゃないですね。
その理由は何ですか？
笑ってんのが自分だけだから。
如果我光看他，感觉是高兴的，但是如果看后面的，好像是有点尴尬或者怎么样，就是无奈的，我要笑笑进行解释怎么样的，就说不上高兴的感觉。对对对。
Japanese are strongly influenced by the changes in the background facial expressions. which means that if you are presented with happy background, the happy center person are seen as much more happier than the case that they are presented with the sad background or neutral background.
정글 속에 있는 호랑이의 사진을 보여주면서 동양인과 서양인의 눈동자가 어떻게 다르게 움직이는지를 관찰해 보았다.
What we find is that the Americans focus in on the most salient objects. They spend nearly all their time in this looking at the tiger, for example. And Asians spend much more time looking at the background, and especially looking back and forth between the background and the object, looking back and forth between the jungle and the tiger. So they make more eye movements, and they make more movements between the background and the object. So they see more about the background, and they see more about the relationships between what's in the background and what's in that salient object.
여기에 원숭이와 바나나, 팬더, 3개의 사진이 있다. 이 중에서 2개를 묶어야 한다면 어떻게 묶어야 할까?
The panda and the monkey, because they're both animals.
The panda bear and the monkey.
Why?
Because they're both animals and they're both mammals as well.
The panda and the monkey go together?
Why?
Because they're both animals?
Monkey and the panda go together because they're both mammals, whereas the banana is a fruit.
Panda and monkey. Why? Because they're animals.
One type of study that we do is that we show people triads of pictures, 3 pictures, 3 different objects, and we say, which of these 2 go together? And it might be something like banana, panda, monkey. And the Americans say, well, the monkey and the panda go together because both of them are animals. But the East Asians are much more likely to say the monkey goes with the banana because monkeys eat bananas. So the Americans, the Westerners, are seeing the world in terms of categories like animal and so on, and these are not as salient to East Asians. They're much more likely to see the world in terms of relationships, like monkey eats banana.
원숭이랑 바나나.
이유는요?
원숭이 바나나 좋아하니까.
猴子跟香蕉。
为什么？
因为猴子喜欢吃香蕉。
猴子和香蕉啊。
为什么呢？
因为猴子吃香蕉啊。
猿とバナナ。
猿とバナナ。その理由は何ですか？
猿バナナ好きそうだ。
モンキーとバナナつなげる。
モンキーとバナナ？
そうするとモンキーがバナナを食べるから。
そう？
서양인들은 대상을 볼 때 개체를 배경으로부터 분리해서 본다. 그런데 서양인들의 뇌에서는 개체를 분리해서 보는 작용뿐 아니라 분리된 개체의 의미를 해석하는 작용도 일어난다.
We found that the Americans showed more activation in their brains in the middle temporal gyrus. That's a part of the brain that's associated with contacting the meaning of objects.
서양인은 대상을 분리하고 그 의미를 해석한다. 분리하고 해석하는 것. 이것이 곧 분석이다. 영어로 분석을 뜻하는 아날리시스도 분리하다라는 뜻의 그